let's just get started. Welcome to meeting number 3 of the Shadow Society Book Club.
Woohoo.
Uh, yeah, how many of us are ahead of our current reading? Yeah,
I
I
actually
am.
thought I was behind and I ended up hearing them go 32. And I was like, oh no, I'm too far. So
okay, good. I'm the only one slacking. Nothing like the guy who organized the thing being the only one behind. Okay, well, good.
typical.
Good, that's right.
I feel like it's on par.
That's right. I'm so again, we're moving. So like I'm literally like sitting in boxes and piles of stuff, which is why we're not using this as the background right now. So um a little chaotic in my life at the moment and will be for the next couple of weeks, but we're just going to keep the reading up and keep doing this and it's going to be awesome. Not next week, the week of the 15th. The 15th is a Wednesday, I believe. I will be on the road attempting to do this, so don't be surprised if um, things are a little bit wonky, but we'll get it figured out. It should be easy enough. I'm just going to keep my laptop in the truck while I'm driving to Georgia, and we'll see how that goes.
Why don't you just change the day?
Yeah.
Make it
Uh,
easy. It's only like 5 of us that join anyways.
that's true. That's true. So yeah, that's true. Let's discuss if everybody's down to move it to like Thursday or yeah, like we'll discuss as it gets closer. We'll talk about
Whatever
it next week.
works. Yeah, whatever works with your driving schedule and with
Okay.
Flora's work schedule, because I'm usually home by like 5:36 at the latest. Like that's if I have a
Nice.
lot of orders that day, because I
Okay.
leave for my flower deliveries at like 2:30. So
Cool. Cool. I
we're
appreciate
flexible.
everybody being flexible. Thank you very much. Awesome. Okay.
Christy, we
Cool.
can see you.
Yeah. I love this. Okay, cool. Awesome. Okay. So the reading has gotten interesting for sure in section 3 of our reading. It's definitely, I'm not going to lie, and this is because I'm a giant child. I don't like all this talk of balls. I am snickering constantly as we talk about who's going to balls and who else enjoys balls and all this talk about it's just ridiculous. So I'm a giant child and I recognize that, but I was going to not mention it, but I'm a child, so here it is. Uh, I'm going to start at my favorite place to start every week for the rest of this book, which is Sazed. Sazed is by far my favorite character still, and I am
Mhm.
so excited to see how far this goes.
Did we
Um,
decide that that's how you say it? It's say Zed?
That's
so
how
I
they
looked
say it
it
in the
up.
audiobook.
It is. So I looked it up and put it in the teaser chat or the spoiler chat and just
Spoiler,
said
yeah.
this isn't technically a spoiler, but I rewatched the video from last week a couple of times and I was like, man, we pronounced his name like 6 different ways during that chat. Like everybody was just like whatever. So I looked it up and apparently Sanderson himself has come out and said it's supposed to be a 2 syllable word, say and zed. So Sazed is the way I'm going to pronounce it from here on out. But it also did say that he doesn't care how anybody else pronounces it. So whatever makes you happy, keep doing. Um,
Yeah, in the audiobook they pronounce it Sayzed, or like I guess the nickname Says is in
right.
there. It's hard because I don't see the physical word, so I have no idea how nothing's spelled.
So I found out the other day that there's a limit to how much you can listen to when it comes to audiobooks on Spotify.
Hmm.
So I was using the audiobook as I was packing and stuff, and all of a sudden it was like, you have hit your maximum for the month. So I can't do anything for 15 days. So I signed up for a free Audible account or like the trial Audible account, and now I'll steal that until it's over. Um, but yeah, so uh that was rude of me. I don't know why I feel like I needed to start. Does anybody have anything that stood out to them from this last week's reading that they need to cover? Questions, comments, concerns?
I do, but I also need clarification on where chapter 29 ends, like where we're up to,
Sure.
because
Welcome to my life.
I thought I was on chapter 28. So I'm like listening to the audiobook, trying to get some
Yeah.
stuff done. And then I hear, because I'm using audiobooks.com and the way the tracks are split up are not equal to the chapters like on Spotify. Um,
Oh, weird.
so I have no idea where I'm at in the book until they read the epigraph and then they'll say, 19,
Yep.
or whatever. So
Right.
I must have missed 29, 30, and 31 because then all I hear is 32. And I was like, what? Where did that come from?
Yeah, it runs. The one I'm listening to is probably the same one, and it definitely does the same thing. So what I went ahead and did already was kind of like pulled together like a summary of each chapter just so I could like have something to
Cool.
reference. Chapter 29 was Vin and Kelsier scout Credit Shaw and witness the activity of the Inquisitors. They uncover unsettling clues about the Lord Ruler's power, and Kelsier grows more determined and obsessed with toppling the Empire's foundations. Does that help at all? 28 was Marsh departs to go undercover in the Steel Ministry, knowing the risk. The crew
Yeah.
reflects on his sacrifice. Kelsier becomes increasingly fixated on his long term goal, which is breaking into the Lord Ruler's stronghold, Credit Shaw. So, definitely an interesting part to like cut ourselves off at if you indeed cut yourself off. Um, but yeah, okay. So, does that help you with your question at all or no? Okay. You know too much. I can see it in your eyes. All right, good. What uh did it answer your question or do we still have the question?
No, I just didn't know where we were up until
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
because I feel like it's that's why I thought I was still like in one chapter because
Yeah.
everything is just like boom, 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 boom. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's all the same chapter,
Yeah.
even though it
Agreed.
was 2.5 hours of listening, apparently.
Yeah, agreed with you. So, cool. Christy, how are you feeling about where we are so far? Is it all making sense?
Yes, I am further ahead. I'm in like 30 something myself for chapter
Everybody's
Yay.
20.
ahead.
Hey,
Yeah,
Everybody's ahead.
I'm in chapter 32.
woo! Yay,
So
So I
the
just
only
went
yay.
back and looked at 29 and it looks like she was at one of the balls. Just
Oh,
for you
there
to
we go
know.
again. All these
Yeah.
balls. All right. So, and you'll never not read that now and go, Nick is a child.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, the, so the only reason that I would say that, like, I would be totally down to just let you all kind of comment on from where you are right now. But because we're going to post this video, I don't want to wreck it for anybody else. So we'll try to keep us corralled to chapter 29 and below. Um,
Agreed.
okay, cool. Awesome. Um, so can we talk real quick about Sazed's power that we discover in that reading, where we realize now that he is uh, has this metal mind, right? So he is able to store strength, which is so crazy cool. And
Yeah, fural chemistry.
yeah,
Fural,
it's
feral,
Feruchemist,
feral.
Yeah.
Feruchemy. So basically, and I love how he basically ignored Vin's breakdown when she was like, "Oh, that explains why you were wearing glasses. You needed to be able to see me to get to me the other day, and then you wore glasses for a little bit, and now you don't wear them. It's because you had to like strengthen your eyes in order to be able to do that." And then, and he just kind of like is brushing her off. For some reason, he doesn't want her, baby, Bubba, go ask mommy. Sorry, minor interruption from the nugget. Baby, you gotta go. Go, mommy's got you. I love you. Bye.
Where's Amy at in the reading?
The beginning. So, yeah, she because of time, and then she finds the guy who narrates the audiobook a bit grating.
Oh, I
What is
understand.
Yep.
Yeah.
I understand.
And so she was like, I can't use that to catch up because I find it just like too much.
Yeah.
So she's bowed out. She realized already, like she watched our first video and realized after the first meeting that she agreed with Lauren that she wasn't totally down for like the heist story stuff. And so
It's
she's
turned into so much more than that, though.
It does. It ends very. It gets better,
it
but
opens up. Yeah.
not till three
Which
quarters through the book.
which
Yeah.
which I was very sure was going to be a thing. I just wanted, I think because we have to make a decision by week 2 of a month as to which way we're going to go for the next month, just to give everybody enough time to buy or pick up or download or whatever they need to get their next book in in whatever we're going towards. I wanted to make sure that we did that. And because it's kind of a slow open, it caused everybody to kind of want to veer off for a little while. I'm hoping that by the time we get to the end of this thing, it'll at least come back in that we decide we want to go to book two, whether it's right after book month two or a couple books away, we still come back to it. Because I'm definitely interested at this point. I just want to do what is cool for everybody instead of like making people slug through stuff they don't want to. So
Right.
everybody, if you the way we've verified or justified this whole process, especially for you, Christy, who has caught up, and Juan, I see you. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you. You are welcome to chime in whenever you like. We basically what we're saying is if you are here and attending, then you have a say. There's like 17 or 18 of us in the actual Discord group, but unfortunately we only see 4 or 5 of us in a week. So the people who are coming are the people who we're going to base our decisions on, and everybody else is going to kind of be along for the ride. So hopefully everybody's just cool with the democracy of the whole thing, and we'll just go from there, and hopefully we don't lose anybody based on the decisions of the group. But either way, I'm really happy with what we've got core group. So I apologize that we sidebarred so much. I am super stoked on Sazed and this rare power of his that is definitely coming into play in future chapters. You all may know more than I do, but I'm super excited about that. The other thing that I'm really interested in right now, which I hope everybody has opinions on, is our boy Ellen Venture, who suddenly has softened up and decided that he is Mr. Romantic all of a sudden, handing hankies to people. And do we think at this point, you probably know more than I do now, but do we think at this point, chapter 29, that he is leading us towards being more of an ally or more of an issue going forward? Does anybody have any insight?
Well, all I'm going to do is reference back to the meeting we had last week where I think it was last week where I said that I think that he was sympathetic when he and Vin were talking about the ska, when he asked her about them and stuff. And so I'm just going to say, I'm going to stay with that opinion.
Yeah,
I stay with it. I stay with it.
I don't remember how much stopped it. So,
right.
You're too far ahead.
Right.
Well,
because what I
32,
listened to today, I'm like,
sorry, go ahead, Christy.
As of chapter 32, I still have in my, I think at some point they'll end up being on the, like, working together or utilizing each other in some way for something. So
we've tossed around this idea of the possibility that Kelsier is not going to be around for the entirety of this story. And the story I'm putting together in my head right now is that somehow our young Ellen somehow fumbles. So this is my new theory, and I'm just interested to hear what everybody thinks. Somehow gets involved indirectly or more purposefully, but fumbles and may directly become part of the downfall of Kelsier, which causes some turmoil for Vin. This is like right. So she's obviously got hearts on this kid right now and doesn't even want to admit it. She's like, I wear dresses and I'm cute now and things are awesome. And there's 2 boys fighting over me and life is good. So, but I think she's got this father figure now in Kels, and I think that just don't see a future for that guy. I think he's too hot-headed. Things are going to go down, and my theory is that he goes down in a blaze of glory, but goes down. So I'm interested to see if Ellen has anything to do with that. I'm maybe making it too complicated, but that's kind of my current theory as to how things are going to go down. Juan, good to see your face, buddy. Welcome to the team. Woo! Feel free to unmute yourself and jump in at any point. You're welcome to just jump in at any point of the conversation.
I have no comment because I finished book 1 before the whole trio thing happened or the club happened. So I was like, oh. I'll wait till you guys go to book 2. I started at book 2 right now just to see if you guys are going to continue or if I'll have to continue on my own. But I have no comment for book 1.
Well, I hope your poker face is better than mine.
Damn, I'm the only one who's not ahead of 29 right now. Okay. So
Blowing it, Nick. Blowing it.
yeah, but I have loose lips. As a talker, I am like, it's really easy for me to slip. So the last thing I want to do is like just ruin things with spoilers and have to like, I don't want to edit this video at all. I'll just like hit record with Zoom and let it do its thing. And so this is as natural as the meeting can be. Okay, cool. So everybody else is ahead. Good to know. I'm not so sure that I don't know what to think about Kelsier right now. He's real loose. He keeps getting more and more driven. He's dragged his brother into this thing. And what was everybody's thought on the visit to the caves? So at some point he goes to visit the caves and brings in, shoot, now I forgot everybody's name. Changes out the general, right? So he changes out his guy for the guy that hired them, because I can't remember anybody's name right now. But goes through that process where like he like puts one of the hotheads who's kind of like undecided about how he feels about this new revolution, and he like pits him against some kid and like uses all his allomancy to like make sure this kid wins the fight, just to kind of like be able to big everybody up. Do we think it's a good move? Do you think it you all know more than I do, so this is hard for you to say. Was it a good move or was it shady?
What chapter did you read to, Nick?
29.
You did read to 29. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I think it
I
feels.
thought you were.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
So, go ahead.
No, you go.
I think it feels like they're trading out basically one person telling them what to do and controlling their lives for somebody else.
Okay. Interesting. So as just from like I don't know. I don't know what perspective I'm trying to come from, but he obviously is trying to like rally the troops, right? I get what he's trying to do, and you want to try to like silence anybody who may have any sort of doubt and make sure that they don't run out and sell out the entire team all at once. So they feel like they're trapped, which I understand. He felt like he needed to like go out and like give everybody a big pat on the back, but he made an example out of this guy, and he showed his powers, which they mentioned like is something that, you know, that most of the time you don't see, right? Most of the time they just get to hear the rumors of all of this allomancy stuff and never actually get to see it. And suddenly he's like waving himself around and, you know, pushing and pulling himself off of stuff in front of people.
So I can piggyback on that, Nick, because where you're going with it, I think really resonates with the conversation that happened between Ham and Vin when he was basically saying, like, it's around that time. I think it's shortly after that. And he was saying that, you know, he's making himself to be this worshipped figure almost essentially to the ska, and that he's very reckless and that he doesn't agree with it. And then I don't think I can follow up on that because I think the next point I have to make happens after chapter 29. But I will say that I really enjoyed that conversation with Ham that Ven had. And I think it was very telling to I think he's able to pick up on the true nature of Kelsier, in my opinion. Also, for some reason, just to turn this little thing into a rant real quick, I feel like if I had some weird theory about Kelsier, it would be that I feel like he's a lot older than we think he is. Like, I feel like he's really old, and I feel like Sazed is really old. Like, I just feel not wisdom, but experience, if that makes sense. Like, from the way that they're saying it, because I don't know how old he's supposed to be necessarily. It's probably in there, but I missed it. Okay. I just feel like he's just one of those figures that's just like a myth that's always kind of been around and like just change his name, if that makes sense. Like he's got like this wealth of experience, and it's really like I don't know why I get that vibe, but I do.
Interesting. I hadn't really considered age at all, honestly, and that's especially because we know that he's got an older brother, and I guess that was the only thing I considered was like, oh, he's got to be younger than he's obviously younger than Marsh, but like, what's the gap? We still haven't figured out why. So in their first conversation, Kelsier and Marsh talk about Kelsier's former wife. And Marsh talks about her in a way that makes it seem like there was some sort of love interest between them, potentially before her and Kelsier, which is what.
Or pining after his wife.
Right. And like it was like there was some heat when they were talking about it, right? And it seemed weird. And we still haven't seen anything about that yet. And I don't know if you know anything now, but I still kind of like am playing with that idea and waiting to see if we get some answers. Age, though, I guess I hadn't really considered it. Something I do like right now that I think is finally cool for Vin is that the rest of the team is finally starting to like say, hey, it's okay. Like, hey, come with me. I'll teach you some stuff. Or, hey, I'm going to let you in about my life. Or, hey, I'll talk to you about my family now. When before she felt like she had to be so far on the outside. So it's nice to see them finally like warming up to her after so many months of proving herself. And even to the point where they're like, protecting her in some ways verbally towards like Kelsier's plans with her and stuff like, hey, this time try not to get her killed. You know what I mean? And so it's nice to see that, they're backing her up a little bit. It's hard to ask you guys questions now because I know you know more than I do. Does anybody have, I don't know how to get you all to jump in without going, oh, I know more than I should. And that's okay. Don't listen to me like I'm not trying to shame you in any way. This is not book shaming. This is just me trying to make sure I don't fill this video with spoilers if I can avoid it. Let's dive into some really basic stuff right now. Let's talk about the book as a whole and talk about where you feel it ranks. I don't know, obviously, especially with Christy and Juan, I don't know how you guys like, if you guys are heavy readers and read a lot and you're multiple books in a month kind of folks, or if you're like me and you're still trying to figure out every word on a page, and I'm slower than dirt right now. But and that's not totally true. I actually am surprising myself pretty well, but I'm trying to stick to the schedule versus like go through and just crush. How does everybody feel about the way that he's building this world? Do you feel like the book is reading quickly? Do you like the world building? Do you like the character structure? What are your pros and cons so far with Brandon Sanderson?
So far,
my opinion.
Will say I like it. There are times where I kind of feel a little slow or feel like the point of it is to build the characters or the plot, which I understand and I enjoy. Sure. But at times I'm like, this could be a little bit better, a little bit quicker. But then it comes together in like a few chapters. I'm like, okay, that was definitely worth it. So I'm kind of in the mix of it.
Yeah, I think that tends. Go ahead. Sorry, Lauren.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm just going to summarize. So you're welcome to jump in.
I was just going to touch on that. I feel like he does a good job explaining, like adding information in that we need in order to build the story, even if it is slow. Right. But I feel where it slacks is he's not good at building interpersonal relationship. I touched on this last week, but it's just driving me insane. Like there's not a lot of, you don't get a lot of enough interaction for it to feel like they care about each other and they're building this family, which is what they're doing. And, the interactions outside of that with other characters outside of their little group. And I just don't.
Do you feel like that's true even with the Ellen and Vin relationship? Do you feel like even that is lacking? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Before I say anything else, Christy, did you have any opinion on that one way or another?
This is my first Brandon Sanderson book that I've read.
Too. Yeah.
So, and it's not a little book. I mean, I do read a lot of fantasies. So, I do like what he's doing. It's better than some fantasy I've read with the
Nice.
length of things. So, but no, I'm enjoying it. I mean,
Yeah.
like Juan said, there's a lot of buildup sometimes to get to, okay, that was where he with that.
Right.
But then also I feel like is that like foreshadowing that we should be able to be like, where is this going? You
Right.
know?
Right. Was it? Yeah,
So
it often feels like it was written with the trilogy in mind, right? Like the
yeah,
whole thing
yeah.
has to come together. And in order for us to get to there, I need to explain all of this to you right now. Um, I find that the stuff that I'm pining for is like the action scenes, right? Like where we're fighting inquisitors and stuff like that. But the part that's kind of frustrating to me is that there has to be so much detail as to like where a coin was dropped and what it's pushing on and who's pulling on who. And then I have to remember like what metal does what sometimes because then you did this. Or we're over explaining. It's like I don't have to remember anything because you're going to give me every single detail just to get to like the next stab or the next punch. And so for me, it's a lot of like it's almost too much. It's almost like explain it in the beginning. You did it. You kind of went through it. Now can we just like get on with it, right? Like let's light this thing up a little bit. So there's that for me, right? And I think that it's and I'm hoping I'm seeing nods from people already because some of you are far ahead. And I think that what it's probably going to open up, we're probably going to start to get to like less explanation, more just like stuff happening. But it definitely reads like this should be three times as long, right? Like, okay, cool. Now there's all this build up for something yet to come. So it's frustrating, and I think that is the reason single-handedly that it was easy for people to say, "Hey, let's jump out of the series for a minute, go read something else. We'll come back and revisit for book two." Which is why, again, we are going to walk away from this series for the next month, and then we can all vote to come right back or however that's going to go. But we're just trying to keep it diplomatic and keep everybody ready to read and keep us all excited about this thing. So, does anybody have anything else about the last bit of reading that we did last week, which was more than you that you feel like you wanted to talk about this week? Anything that made you excited, or do you feel
Yes.
like yes? Okay, go.
Yes. So I specifically was intrigued by the part where it's oh goodness, I'm not gonna remember who all's there. It's Kelsier and Vin and um Spook and Ham
Yep.
and who's the guy who is organizing all of the stuff? Give me a list of the characters that are in the group
Oh my
real
gosh.
quick.
Hold on, I gotta go way
I
deeper.
can't think of
Uh,
his name.
Today's not my day for
The
names.
one who the one who's the soother that's in
Breeze.
their group.
Yep,
Yes.
Is that
Okay.
Breeze?
it
I
is.
think so. Well, we're
Yeah.
gonna say it is. So when he asks, he like commands Spook to get him a drink, and then he goes to do it, and then Spook is using his slang language, right? His
Yep.
his like language that he uses. So what
Super
I
weird.
did, because I don't have a book in front of me, like I Googled like what is actually being said, because the wasn't of the wasing and the nicing of the nicing and all of the stuff. And I was like, what is being said? But what I
Yeah,
found was also Brandon Sanderson provides a translation for it. Do you guys have that in the actual book? Or
I
is that just
haven't
something he
seen it.
provided
Oh, I
on
don't know.
his
Hold
own?
on.
I didn't. If he did, it's in the back, and I haven't been there yet.
Because he provided like I found a translation of it and it's in my phone somewhere. Like I screenshotted it, so I'm not going to be able to bring it up during the meeting.
Mm,
But in a
No.
sense, it was really intriguing to me because what he was saying essentially is that it's not nice when he does that, like soothing people. And Kels
right.
was talking back and was like, you know what? But that's just he's inferior. He feels inferior, so that's why he does it. And then they go
Mm,
on to say that you don't really. It's
Docs, yeah.
Docs. Yeah, you don't
yeah.
ever really have to listen to anything that Doc says because it's not worth anything unless he's talking about spending money. And I thought that was really important and telling because normally an author doesn't really drop in little clues about that unless it's
Right.
for a reason. So it made me want to go back and kind of reference like what has Doc said previously about situations or about characters in the book, and is it stuff that we can hold value with, or is it stuff that's like meh? Like it just kind of stuck with me.
Interesting. Okay. That's a cool. That's a cool thought. So I will have to find that, and if I can find it, I will post it for everybody else to read. It feels when I read when I read stuff about Spook, I feel all I can picture is like a Jar Jar Binks kind of situation happening where
Yeah.
it's just like Misa thinking, and it's like he's just like this little comedic thing that happens every once in a while. Um, but then also he's got like a crush on Vin, which is kind of cute. So yeah, so I think it'd be cool to get some explanation on that because even as listening to it, even listening to it in the audiobook section, I'm still just like whatever they just said. Like how serious can
Right.
it really be? I don't, really need to know. But that's interesting.
But
So
knowing there's a translation.
right. But let's talk about that. So Dox is who we meet first, right? We meet Kelsier and Doxson
Mhm.
together. And I assume immediately from the get-go that those two are like paired, right? Like they're the Brad Pitt and George Clooney of the whole thing, right?
I
And
was going to say Bert and Ernie.
okay, also good pairing. I'm thinking in the world of like heist films, Brad Pitt, George Clooney, like those two, no matter what else happens within the group, those two are locked down. But for him to be able to like sort of like go around him a little bit, oh yeah, well,
Do you see how tall he is?
every time I see pictures of him, I'm like, oh my
Dude.
gosh, that little kid was in my backyard at one point, like hanging out. It's awesome. So I think it's really interesting that he's so quick to be like, don't worry about that. Because I thought that was, they allude to the idea that it took Doxson a long time and it's still taking him a while to like get used to this like Alamancy version of Kelsier, right? And like there was a while, he knew him at a time where they were just two guys, right? They were just two dudes out there being thieves, and then all of a sudden he snaps after the pits, and now he's this other thing, and there's like a hint of jealousy in that, and I think that now for him to like be kind of almost undermining him a little bit in the way you explain that is weird, and I wonder if that's going to bite him. I'm looking for the like the underhanded or like the person who's coming out of this group and ready to strike at any minute, and I can't figure out who it is yet. But yeah, right, exactly.
I think it's Marsh. I still think it's Marsh. I always think it's Marsh.
Okay.
Yeah, he's kind of walking a fine line, I feel like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The other thought that we had last week was Reen, and Vin's brother just kind of ghosts and leaves her to deal with, kind of leaves her with this baggage, and luckily she survives, but he kind of left her for dead or to end up being whored out, unfortunately. And she survives all of that. So I'm interested, you all may know, but I don't. So I still want to know, are we going to find that guy? Like, where is he going to come up? Who's he working with right now? Did he go back to Dad? We know Dad's still alive. I'm really interested to see. Okay, jump. I see you, Megan.
What?
Okay. Okay. Did we talk about this last week, or am I just having an epiphany on my own? Remember when, so I think it's been a couple times now in the book, she's mentioned that her mom heard voices or something like that, and like killed her younger sibling. So yeah, she went crazy, and Reen, that's why they left, is Reen saved them from her, right? But throughout the story, I hear, because I'm audiobook, but we hear that she's hearing his voice in her head. So does she have the same affliction that her mom had, or is there I don't know what another option is, but
I love when the meetings get to this point.
Yeah. I didn't think about it like that. I always thought of it like as an inner monologue kind of thing of just her debating, like the angel and devil kind of thing, and he was her own personal devil. That's how I took it, but I didn't even think about it as like insane or part of that insanity illness kind of thing. That's a good thought point.
That's that horror fan coming out.
I can't help it. I'm just like, oh, she has the same. She's insane, just like her mom. Lock them all in, or put them in charge of something.
So good. Okay.
Oh, God, I highlighted something that had to do with that. Now I can't find the fucking highlight.
Way to go.
I did have another one. I came with my homework, by the way.
Did you bring a quote?
I did. It wasn't, well, it was like a
Nice.
little snippet.
Yeah.
One thing that I wanted to talk about was, okay, so it's in chapter 22. There were those who didn't think the deepness was a serious danger, at least not to them. However, it brought with it light that I have seen inflect. I'm trying to read way too tiny print. Hold on. Infect nearly every part of the land. Armies are useless with it. Great cities are laid low by its power. Crops fail and the land dies. This is the thing I fight. So this is from the journal.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
One, I want to know what the deepness is. I feel like that's where we're going to get some of the dark and I know more of that. What they were fighting. But I think that the fact that the Lord Ruler was comparing, basically trying to save everybody from this plight in the same manner that Kelsier is now trying to save everybody from a perceived plight, was an interesting comparison.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a question because you brought it up, and so my question to everybody is, what if he's still trying to help? What if the Lord Ruler is not as evil as he's being made out to be? Because really, we only understand him from like the Kelsier point of view, right? He's just the thing that needs to be dropped. Everybody needs to go down. That's the end of it. It'll fix everything. But what if all of this is part of being saved? And we're gonna find out that like this whole yeah, it sucks to be a ska, right? And they're obviously like this slave race at this point, and that sucks. But what if they're being saved from themselves? And what like and some of you have been to the end already, so I'm trying not to look at you, but
no, I had the exact same thought reading this.
Yeah. Okay, good. Because now that we're starting to understand him, he's just a dude, right? He's just a dude trying to make things better, right? And then something happens, the whole world gets shut down. They're just, the mountains explode and suddenly they're covered in ash and everything goes to darkness. Nothing's green anymore. But is this like the sometimes you have to destroy it all in order to like make things good again? And what is the I'm just really interested to see what we learn about him and how much more like humanized he becomes as we get closer to the end of this thing, because I just don't see a way for him to just be the bad guy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and there's part in chapter 20 where Ben kind of internally sympathizes with the Lord Ruler. Not so much in maybe he's protecting us from it, but he did save the world and maybe he's entitled to this kind of internal thought.
Who is the Lord Ruler?
You haven't found
He
out
doesn't
yet.
have a name.
Yeah.
I mean, he has to have it. He has to have a name.
Yeah,
but
we don't know anything.
But you haven't met him yet in the book. Like he hasn't been introduced outside of them talking about him. Him himself, he has not been introduced in the story yet.
So wait, can I ask a question to Lauren and Juan, because you finished the book? You don't, just a shake of the head or like a yes or a no. I don't want like an answer, just a yes or no. Do we meet him by the end of the book?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I want to know is, do we meet him?
It wasn't a spoiler. It's not gonna. Okay. That doesn't spoil it.
I want to ask.
Obviously, he has to show his face at some point.
Go to spoiler chat. Don't do it now.
I mean, yeah, I'll go to spoiler chat with you if you want.
Go to spoiler chat.
No, I promise to finish the book tomorrow. Just gonna finish it.
Okay, once you finish, go to the spoiler chat.
Yeah, I can't wait. I know it's coming, and I'm really interested to see how we get there. Because as of right now, nobody can get close enough to him to make the thing. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Okay, so Sazed.
That's okay.
Sazed holds memory, right? He's a keeper.
Yep.
And he stores up memory.
Everyone but his own, right? He doesn't know anything about his own people, but everybody else. Yeah.
Why do we think that is though?
Because it's
So
been wiped, right? They're suppressing them.
no, well, because wait, have we by chapter 29, do we know more about Feral chemistry?
Hierarchy or whatever it was. I have to see the word in front of me.
It was excellent
We're
pronunciation.
can we just call them furries?
Furry,
F
yes.
word.
Oh.
It's just I want feral fear.
It's
How much do we
Fury.
know about it by 29? Because I don't know where the
Not
explanation
enough.
comes in. Okay,
Not
Not
never
enough,
mind then.
no.
I can't say my I can't. Okay, I can though
No,
without
what
saying
you're
that.
worrying about is like what you're talking about is when he was talking to her in the kitchen, right? And they were having that conversation. Is that where your
Yeah,
mind is going?
that's
Yeah, okay.
past. Is that past
That is past
exposition?
20. Yep, that's past it. Yeah.
Okay, but
Do
All
it
the
what
next
fun
I can,
stuff
week.
to talk about is past it.
Yeah,
but
that's
what I can say, and then rewatch this to remind myself next week. What I can say is that we know that he stores memory, right? He has all these memories. So while he doesn't know anything about his own people, but he knows everything about everything else, shouldn't he know who the Lord Ruler is? Unless he is also a terrorisman?
interesting. That's an interesting thought.
If he
Like,
has all this memory stored up, shouldn't Sazed know already who the Lord Ruler is? Shouldn't he have memory of that happening? Lauren, turn your
the
camera
only
off.
the only reason I
I-
don't think the only reason I think that he doesn't, or at least that I feel that he doesn't, is that once he gets his hands on the journal, he starts letting into Vin about like nobody's ever known this much about him at all. Oh my gosh, there's so much for me to understand. So it's like
Right,
another
but
thing that like he just like he's either playing it up or he just truly doesn't know anything. And like this journal has been everything that he's been able to like suddenly he's getting all this insight into something that he had no idea about.
right, which is meaning that it's about his own people, his own history, right? Because
actually
The journal is, yeah.
you just said that it's he knows has all this memory except for his own, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So without even knowing anything about how his powers work, if you already know that up to 29, then we can extrapolate from that and theorize that he should either A, know who the Lord Ruler is and know this stuff about his history because of things like this journal and those before him who have learned about it and pass that along, or B, it's the I don't know, it's part of that hidden area.
The furry thing.
yeah, furries.
Do we? I don't recall. Do we know how old the Lord Ruler is at this point? Kind of roughly. No. Okay.
Well, he has to be at least 1,000 years old, right? Because
Oh
it's
yeah,
been
because
1,000
that
years.
happened. Yeah, it
Okay.
happened 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he
The
has to be
fall
at
did.
least
Yeah.
he's dropping
and
a
I'm
grand on his
assuming-
age right there.
Yeah. I'm assuming say Sazed, however you pronounce the name, is probably around Kelsier's age. Again, I don't think it's ever mentioned anyone's true age besides Vin. I think she's like 17, 16.
Vin's
17.
17 and Eland is 21. Those are the only ones you get
21,
an age
yeah.
on,
Yeah. So
which is a little creepy in my opinion.
And Kelsier, though, he also talks a lot about, he'll say things about the trees being green, and Vin is like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how do you know that?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I think he's older than we know. But then he said
Yeah.
there was a picture or something his wife carried around. Was that before 29? Oh my gosh.
No, you're okay.
No, you're good.
You're
That one's
okay.
safe.
Oh, gosh. I'm gonna be so
This is
happy
great.
for next week when I can
Next
speak.
week, yeah. You can everybody can open it up.
I'm just only gonna join the every four groups from now on. I'm
Come
just
at the end, the last week of the month. Great.
just kidding.
I love it. I love it. You guys are killing it. What we talked a little bit. We talked a little bit about character building, and we know that Lauren's not stoked on it. Do you think? Okay, here's my favorite question right now. What character annoys you the most? And I'll tell you who mine is immediately. Mine is the the noble woman who was Ellen Venture's prior, who was constantly like trying to lay
The
into Vin all the time.
ex-fiance? The
God, hate
ex-fiance?
that lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never wanted to punch a book. That lady, oh, she's awful. But is there anybody else who's like rubbing you the wrong way, or a character you feel like we just don't need, or is there anybody who you're like,
Kelsier rubs me the wrong way, but for other reasons.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
Yeah, you're not a Kelsier fan at all. Oh, I can't wait until
No,
next week.
not at
I'm gonna
at
write
this
that
point in the
down.
book.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh.
I have
Are
to
you on
agree
book
with
2,
Lauren.
Lauren?
It's
I'm probably gonna DNF the rest of the series. I haven't decided, but it didn't hook me enough. The last 10 chapters I loved, but the rest was just, and okay, maybe you can tell me, since have you read the second book? Sorry for the side tangent.
Sorry. I'm about like 10, 12 chapters in or so. I think I'm at like where it says part 2 or just a little bit past that.
This will be my deciding factor. Is it similar pace and speed getting through that book where it's like really drawn out at the beginning, or do we keep up the pace like we did at the end of the book for book 1?
That's a good question.
Because what I looked up online and what from my understanding with people, this is more of a build up. So it kind of does more of that.
I own book 3
character. I was like, and my understanding is book 3 is like where it truly, like how you guys mentioned, like, you could tell it's based on a trilogy, and you just need to get to that path. And that's where I'm like, okay, some of it is slow, some of it's good, where it picks up again and then it drops again. I can't talk too much, obviously, about book 2 yet because it's a lot of spoilers. But right now, I do find it kind of slugging along or kind of just building up again. Right, the part where I'm at in book 2, I could tell that it's about to get good, but it's still too early for it to be the full climax of the book, if that makes sense.
Well, that's fine because it's like chapter 10 or 12. But do you think that it's going to start picking up pace around 10 or 12?
Here, hold on. Let me actually check what chapter.
You know what, though?
Let me interject. Early.
Let me interject real quick, Lauren, and say this, that's how I feel reading SJM.
Really?
Yeah, there's nothing exciting until the past 100 pages.
No, I'm already a book and a half in.
I will read it, but I almost DNF'd ACOTAR after the first book because, I was struggling to get through it, and my friend was like, "No, keep on," and I got to ACOMAF, and I was like, "Okay."
But I feel like Crescent City is worse for the buildup. There's a lot of characters and there's a lot of everything. So
I just bought that book a few weeks ago.
To me, this reads a lot. I don't want to say a lot. That's giving him a lot of credit, but it's worth it though. So it's a lot like Tolkien, or you know what I mean, like that type of world building where you're getting a lot of information, but you can cut a lot of it out to make a great movie.
Yeah.
Right. When you read the Lord of the Rings based on watching the Lord of the Rings versus watching them, you realize just how much is cut out to make the movies, and the movies were still the perfect trilogy, right, of movies. But so much was lost. And I think that is a similar thing with how Brandon Sanderson is writing.
Okay.
Here's my question.
I'm at chapter 22 for the second book. So I'm 32% through the book. And that's where it's starting to build up because other things are happening. And I can tell it's going to get good, but I know there's also going to be another drop down where there's going to be more building and whatnot. So
did you just do that math in your head?
The what?
Did you just do the math?
Did you just do that math in your head?
Oh, no. Ebook. So it shows me how much. Yeah, no,
he was burning tin and was able to. Okay, so I chat GPT a lot of stuff, and I just said the group is trying to figure out if book 2 of Mistborn is a slow read, which is the consensus on book 1, or if it speeds up. Can you give us any insight? Does anybody want me to read you that answer?
Yeah.
Is it spoiler free?
Paraphrase.
It is supposed to be spoiler free.
Paraphrase.
So basically it says book 2 is known for being even more political and introspective than book 1, especially in the first half. The stakes are higher, the character development is deeper, and there's more attention to philosophy, leadership, and power dynamic.
That makes
Maybe-
sense, though, which you will figure out next week. But
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like book 2 is a really good follow-up for book 1, but right now
Right.
it is to me kind of that slow build-up still and kind of that drag. But
So it
my
says that
understanding,
if
book 3 is the peak of it, and that's what I'm going
takes
for.
off. So
Yeah.
it says if the group find that book 1 was slow because of world building and setup, you may find book 2 similar, though with more internal tension than external action. The last third of the book ramps up significantly. So just like we're finding with book 1, it's basically going to be the exact same experience.
From my understanding, that's Sanderson's kind of writing
That's his
theme.
jam.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a lot of
I've
build up.
heard
and
that
then
about with
That's
like
good to
ending
know.
is
Way of
just-
Kings
yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Flora last week said something like, it feels like he's been writing it to wait for somebody to offer him the movie option, right? So it feels like there's got to be all that extra world build and all that extra like detail so that when it comes time to cut the script, it's really easy to roll it back over. And I don't disagree. It does feel like that in a lot of ways. It's just I can't read in under 2 hours. So what do you think? So this is an interesting, because we've got about 10 minutes. Does anybody have anything else they want to talk about the last week reading before I may just kind of do some club stuff here real quick if nobody has anything else they want to talk about today. Everybody jumped ahead and now you're all afraid to talk to me, and I think it's funny. So great job. I need to get caught up right now. What we need to talk about now is where we're going after next week. We kind of, the voting already came in. Again, there are 17, 18 people in this group, but ultimately only 5 or 6 of us are showing up right now. So it's the 5 or 6 of us that are here with our faces in this video that are going to make final decision. We did put out the poll, so do keep watching the polls. But the poll came out last week and we decided that we would take a break from this Mistborn series and go check out something else. My hope is that we decided to go thriller, horror, and then as a group, if we decide like, hey, like Juan's almost halfway, 32% through, great job on the next one. So he's probably going to keep finishing that before he decides to jump in with us. I'm hoping that we can find something that is well-paced and a quick read. You know, anything in the horror thriller genre for me is always a win. If you know anything about me, it's like my jam. So there's been 2 recommendations so far. Christy, I know you said that you're just along for the ride. You didn't have any specifics on this genre for us. Juan, are you feeling like you'll catch back up with us in month 3? Are you gonna try to do both, or how are you feeling?
I jump through between books, so I do an
Nice.
audiobook and at least try and do 2 digital books every now and then. So
Sweet. So we'll keep you. Okay, I love it.
Yep.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you were able to make it in. So Lauren put in a suggestion, Megan put in a suggestion, and I, just before the meeting started, put in a suggestion. So we have 3 books
I
right
got bone
now.
to pick with your suggestion, Nick.
So I put in a
was yours?
suggestion after the meeting started too, just heads up.
Okay,
Oh, I
good to
didn't
know.
see them. What did you?
Okay,
I
cool.
didn't see your suggested one, but Nick, you said you wanted to read a female author and then recommended 2 male authors.
Oh, you're right. I did. So I had one in mind. I started typing it, and then I went and did the other half of that and got 2 more. So you're right. So I'm actually more inclined to lean towards the female authors because of the complications that we're finding, or the lack of character building that we're seeing with Sanderson. Like, I'm interested to see if a female author, and I'm totally just like putting the 2 against each other for no reason, if I get a different experience based on, a female author versus a male author. And that's not me trying to add sex or class or anything else into any of this. I just am like doing my own little scientific research right here, and it's got nothing to do with anything. And I'll make no major judgments to one group of people writing better than another, any of that stuff. I'm just interested to see. So, plus I feel like in the thriller world, there are a ton of female authors, like a ton. And there's definitely some dudes out there too, but I'm interested to kind of go that route. So, excellent catch. Thank you for making me see that.
Can Lauren and I get on our soapbox and give
yes, I think you should.
Second.
I was going to ask if you want to pitch.
Lauren,
go ahead and feel free.
Oh, about the books that we want to read?
Yeah. So just who you pitched for this.
Recommendation.
Mine is Clown in a Cornfield.
Oh.
So it's like a slasher it's, creepy small town, and this killer clown comes out to right some wrongs, and there is a second one that came out, and it is being developed into a horror movie.
Ooh.
And then I'll let Megan do her own soapbox, because this is what Megan suggests.
Okay, cool. Have you read the one that Megan suggested?
No, I haven't read either.
Okay.
But they were both
That's
on my
clear.
bookshelf. So,
Okay.
Megan, would you like to talk?
Yes, I would.
Exactly.
So I went to find my book of hidden pictures, but you have it. So I want to read Hidden Pictures because it is a standalone novel. It's not a series, so like we can just kind of leave it there and not have to circle back to it. It's really great to read. I think it's fast paced. It is a male author, but he builds characters really well. I've read it one time when it first came out, and I will gladly reread it. Also, I want to circle back and say that if you want a female author for thrillers that is really good, really quick read, great at like gripping you in, and would create great conversation, I've read some Frida McFadden, and I highly recommend her. So I think that would be a great place to start for a female thriller author, is Frida McFadden.
Can I throw in my female author then?
Yes.
Just to also notate, my mother-in-law and wife reads Frida McFadden, and they swear that the thrillers and the twist and whatnot are pretty good. At least my mother-in-law swears it.
She is a MD. She's a doctor, legitimately, and she writes on the side. Like, and now she's more author than she is medical doctor, and it's just, I think it's brilliant. So she's got all this like brilliant brain. I love it.
Mine's Geneva Rose, if we're going to go thriller, female author.
Really?
Yeah, I love her stories.
Okay.
All right, I was saying that, or Darcy Coates if we're going to do more horror. She writes really good, quick, fast-paced ghost stories. And then she's got a couple of ones that are, most of hers are ghost stories, but she also has a couple of sci-fi thrown in there and just regular horror. But she's very, very fast-paced read.
Does Darcy do a lot of series? Because I have a couple of her books from a series.
She has, I think, 3 duologies, if I'm remembering correctly.
Okay.
But most of them are single books.
Yeah. So I don't have a soapbox for my pick. I just saw it, and it was a shorter read, so I nominated that one. But it's What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. I just looked it up. T. Kingfisher is a female author.
I almost recommended that one. I want to read it.
Also female.
I almost did. Yeah.
It's like, I think 180 pages or something. So super short read.
I saw it was so short.
I guess it's a trilogy, but the third book doesn't come out until the end of this year.
Hold on.
So the reason I picked it. Oh, go ahead.
He's just gonna grab it off the shelf.
Keep talking. Here we go.
Oh yeah. The reason I was interested in it and the reason I picked it was because I watched The Last of Us on HBO Max last year when it came out.
So good.
Have you played the games?
No, I want to.
Good.
I haven't bought them yet. Yeah. But basically, it's the same kind of concept of the zombie. It's a fungi, bacterial kind of thing, and that's what I guess really piqued my interest.
It's also like a
retelling The House of Usher. Follow The House of Usher.
Yeah.
It's an Edgar Allan Poe
Edgar Allan Poe.
It's like a retake on Edgar Allan Poe's.
I've not read it. I want to read it.
I've only read the first couple chapters. I stopped for some reason, forgot I started it.
Okay,
Christy,
so
what do you think?
I have that book, so I'm game. Like, it's here.
But there's also, if we're gonna do T. Kingfisher, there's a lot of really good ones.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I have a bunch of hers too. Yeah,
Lauren, how much do you charge for rentals?
The Hollow thing.
You should just start shipping them out to people, and you'd be like the Netflix of books. You could just, I'll rent 2 from Lauren this week.
Nobody's allowed to borrow them from me because if I don't get back, I'm not nice.
No, you gotta. I understand. Okay, all right. This is hilarious the way this has worked out already. So, let me ask a question. If a book is under 200 pages, does it take a whole month for us to do a book?
It wouldn't,
right?
Yeah.
No.
Right? Like
It
that's
takes,
like
it takes us 2 days.
that's like
Yeah.
That's what one of my concern was too.
okay. So okay. Okay. All right. So
But if we did go with that, just hear me out. There
We
are
do
other
want to.
kingfishers that are also very thin. So, like this
What
one's
about
a
like-
Southern
two?
Gothic, or we could do book 2 in that one. So we could keep with the same author and do 2 very different ones, or 2 in the same series, or we could do 2 authors that have skinny books.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we're calling next month horror thriller. I don't care if we do 1 book or tackle 2 shorties. In fact, it could be fun to just like knock out 2 real fast. And then if we all hey, what about that Vin character and decide to come back, or we decide to, I know Flar is trying to push us all really hard into doing a hardcore sci-fi book. In fact, he sent me a book called Rubicon, which is probably hard to see with my funky background. But Rubicon by J.S. Dews is he says it's supposed to be dope. So we could go a whole other way, and then 2 months from now come back to the series. I don't care. Really, for me, this is the fun of it, like being able to like have a bunch of people to bounce this idea off of. And if we never finish a series, but it gets one of us decides like Juan, for instance, is like, I'm already on book 2 and I'll probably be on book 3 by, before Easter. Awesome. Right. Like if it's just keeping us going, awesome. But I do want to make sure that it's something that everybody I just want to keep it as diplomatic as possible. In fact, because Juan put in a suggestion, I'm pulling both of mine. I don't even want those titles to be considered.
No, because I liked your.
What are your
Okay.
suggestions for horror?
My suggestions for horror are Incidents Around the House by Josh Mallerman.
I want to read that.
That was a
it's
good book.
supposed to be-
I've read it.
It's supposed to be really. Oh, you did? Okay, so I feel like
It's
that
good.
immediately
It's
cancels
good.
it out. I feel like that should cancel it
doesn't
out. And then The Exorcist's House by Nick Roberts is supposed to be like kind of bone chilling, and it's very obvious what it's about, but it's supposed to be on it. And apparently, there's a book 2 of that, so there is a series to that one too. No idea about length either way. And truly the only way I picked those titles, because I have nothing to base them on, was I go to Book Talk and I watch like 10 videos, and then whatever comes up in a repeat, I make a list of. And that's how actually my female authors got bumped out of the list at the last minute, because these 2 came up a couple times more, and I was like, oh yeah, I did write that. So
I'm curious what you had on the list before they got bumped.
so I just put it in the chat and erased it and didn't even save it. So I'll have to go back. I'll pull them for you. You probably have all of them. So, and literally all I did, what I was looking for was like, I don't want to do best horror book of all time and everybody's trying to read Rosemary's Baby, right? What I wanted to do was like, what was cool in 2024 or early 25? I found a lady who reads a book a day. She read 115 books in the first quarter of this year. My eyes dried out and fell out just listening to her. So
that's audiobook on 3 times speed.
It's nuts. She swears she's reading them. She's got a library. Anyway, she's got them all in physical copy when she talks about them, which is just insane.
Is that the girl with the curly hair and the glasses? Does she have like brown curly hair and glasses?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Truly, there's like probably 12 people I follow, and I feel like they're all the same person. I have no idea. So, okay, it's easy to get way off track. Let's decide how we make this decision, and then this will be how we base our next decisions for the following months. We've got 3, potentially 5 books to choose from. Everybody's got a great reason why we should read one. We do know that a much shorter book, What Moves the Dead by T. King Fisher, is something that a couple of us own already, and a short read, which means we could potentially stuff 2 into a single month, which could be really fun. I, as our fearless leader, quote unquote, am down for literally whatever. I'm happy you all are here, because now I get to be at the mercy of you versus the other way around. As you well know, I made a reading list literally based off of TikTok reviews, and you're welcome to check that out too. But I'm more happy having you all pick this route for us, So is anybody leaning one way? Does anybody feel like they like somebody else's recommendation better than their own?
Yeah. I only picked Clown in a Cornfield because it was so drastically horror. Like it's a slasher. And I was like, well, we're gonna go into horror.
Yeah.
I love Kingfisher. She's an amazing writer. I have not read anything about hers that I didn't like. But I'm also really excited that Megan's picked something that she is willing to reread a second time, because I feel like we don't say that a lot about books. Like that's rare that you are willing to go back and reread something a second time.
I have no preference, so I really don't mind either or.
So I'm gonna mine out of my book out of the ring, and we'll leave it between those two.
Okay. Christy, are you down if we pick between T. Kingfisher's What Moves the Dead and Megan's choice of Hidden Pictures by Jason Recolak? I'm really bad with names. Okay. Yep. Okay. Megan, are you still there? I know you went video off and mute for a second. If you can, we're just going to assume that your pick is still your pick. Okay. Juan, you're good either way?
Yep, I'm good either way. It doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
Do we want to like rock, paper, scissors it out?
No, watch this.
Do a spinner. Oh, that too.
Can I borrow you real quick? We're gonna make wifey the tiebreaker here, so she actually gets to be a part of this next read.
Do you want me to grab this so she can see the covers and judge a book by its cover?
You're gonna tie break what we're reading for this next month. Okay. 2 books. What Moves the Dead? Very short, like 180 pages, by a lady named T. Kingfisher. Here comes Ames. Oh, the whole crap! Just like everybody's popping up. Okay. Shh. Okay. So we've decided to go between T. Kingfisher, What Moves the Dead. Really short. Potentially we could read 2 books for next month because it's that short. 90 pages a week, right? That's pretty easy. Or
don't judge me because I have 2 copies of this.
See, Lauren has them all already. All right.
I have that book too, actually.
Oh, Christy has them also. So Hidden Pictures was Megan's request, and Megan has already read it and thinks it's so good that she wants to reread it, and everybody else should read it with her because she feels like it's that good. So we're going to make you the tiebreaker. Keep in mind, What Moves the Dead is like The Last of Us
meets Fall of the House of Usher,
and it's kind of based on Edgar Allan Poe's Fall of the House of Usher. So this is super cool but super short. Megan had a really great argument for Hidden Pictures by Jason R. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I don't care how you do it, but you're going to pick for us. What Moves the Dead? What Moves the Dead is your pick? Okay.
Which means we need a second for the month.
Short too.
Okay. How long is Hidden Pictures?
I read it in like 2 days.
I don't think we count.
Oh.
You do.
As far as how fast we read?
Hell no.
No, but it's really gripping. It's really gripping.
But how many pages? If it's fast paced, then you kind of get sucked into it easier. That's true.
368 pages for the hardback.
But like 10 of those are pictures.
There are pictures in here, so we'll cut out
15,
at least 10.
15 are pictures.
Okay. But basically, it's the one size of the Mistborn book for both of them.
Okay. So here's one final question then as a group. Do we care to stick to a month-to-month schedule, or are we down to just finish a book, move on, doesn't matter what part of the month we're on? We just all agree.
I think we should just do a 2 book and then vote again.
Then keep going. So we don't have to worry about what
vote again.
I love this group. Okay. So
we're not sticking to the months anyway, Nick.
Nobody is. I tried this whole meeting. You'll see when you watch it. Like everybody was like, we can't talk to you because we're ahead of the reading.
He's been trying.
Is that
so
Amy?
hard.
Yeah. Hi. You gotta catch
weird
up.
Background makes us look really strange.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi, baby. Here, I'll put your shirt on. Thank you. Okay. How many weeks do you think? 2 tops for this next book?
You have to take into account though, babe, that we're moving.
Yeah, but there's audiobooks.
Okay.
And as long as it's not read by the same guy who's doing Mistborn, you should
I
be
know.
fine.
I know. He's
No.
poor thing is trying so hard to keep like I gave up. I
I
couldn't
feel you.
book anyways. Like it was just not for me. But he's been so hard trying to make it through, and we have so much going on that bless his heart. But yeah.
I'm back.
It's not even like it's 165 pages, but like I feel like if it was a regular size book, it would also be like 100 pages.
Way less.
So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Final question. Do we just agree to run them back to back right now? And then we'll pick, that'll give us enough time to like pick a genre and go to the next book. And that gives us more like a 5 to 6 week head start before we come back to something else or decide to jump into a different realm. Or do you want to just do the one? We'll figure it out in 2 weeks.
Why don't we wait for next week when Floor can get on to decide if we're going to do them back to back, and at least say we're going to start with the Kingfisher one, because I feel like the majority of us are like gung-ho for that one. Let's start with the Kingfisher one. My feelings are not going to get hurt about Hidden Pictures. I've already read it. I know it's a great book, and I really want you guys to read it so we can talk about it and I can hear all you guys talk about it. But that can be down the line. You know what I mean? Like it's a good intro. It's a good intro book to the thriller horror genre, I think. So that's why I recommended it, because it is fast paced. But I think if we just start saying, okay, we know we're going to start with this Kingfisher book, and then once we get our other core member of the group on, when he can be there, even if it's in chat, and pose that to him, or if you want to connect with him on the side, Nick, and just kind of talk about it too, because he brings a lot of goodness to the group as well. So I think that taking that into account, because if he's really gung-ho on sci-fi, we don't want to push that
maybe put it
far,
maybe put it to a vote and not do 2 horror back to back. Maybe switch up the genre over to sci-fi for the next one.
I'm good with sci-fi,
because I've got a lot of sci-fi stuff.
Love it. This new empire is very diplomatic, and I love you all. You're doing a great job. Okay, so because it's so short, we'll come back right at the beginning of this book for next week. So at the end of next week's meeting, we'll have the same conversation again and talk about where we think we need to go, because in 2 weeks, we're going to knock that thing dead and move on to the next one. What are you thinking?
We're moving.
I think that if you guys get the audiobook, you can finish this in one trip to Georgia in the car.
Yeah.
We're in 2 different cars though, so
your mom's gonna like it. And we have 4 days where there's no furniture in the house and nothing to do. So
that's true.
We'll kill it. I'm not worried about it. We'll get it docked out. Okay.
Bedtime stories.
Is everybody comfortable with the way we're moving?
Macy is
Feeling good?
Except for Amy.
Okay, cool. Who is that, Christy?
This is Chanel.
Chanel is awesome. Hello, Chanel. Welcome to the group.
She's my son's dog, but here she is.
She's cute. She's cute. Awesome. Okay, cool. And Macy will not ever
stop.
Yeah, there's a doggy. That's right. So, okay, cool. You all are fantastic. I think it's fabulous that you all are excited readers and you all are way ahead. I long to be you, and I will keep working on it. Let's go ahead and wrap for today. If anybody's got anything else, or you guys want to move into the spoiler chat to talk about what you've read beyond this, feel free, and I will just do my best to not pay attention. If anybody has any questions on, like, is everybody feeling comfortable with Discord?
Yeah.
You all seem to know it better than I do. Yeah. But actually,
we have a lot of threads in there.
I don't know how to work it. I don't even know how to like clear out the notifications. Like
you just have to look at scroll down and look at the next thing at the bottom of the list. Anyway, we can go through all that. But I also made like a quick video with what I know about the basics. It's on there, available to you if you want to watch it, but you don't have to. Ultimately, you know that we're coming back every Wednesday, except for we may push Wednesday the 15th to like a Thursday. We'll talk about it next week when Flower comes back and figure out what works best for everybody. But we'll
literally be on the road.
We will be on the road. We'll be halfway to Georgia by then. So,
yeehaw.
Yeehaw. So, awesome. But I'm going to end with, because I also did my homework, I'm going to end with my quote from the book, which I just need to find real fast. And I think it's a good way to end. My quote is from chapter. Did you have something you wanted to add?
I just want to know where Lauren got her bookshelves.
Oh, keep talking, Nick. I'm just gonna give her. I'm gonna give her a tour.
Oh.
It's long.
Oh my God.
They're IKEA. Oh, and then there's one in the corner, I know.
Oh my
they're
God.
the IKEA Billy bookshelves. Fun story. They thought that they didn't have an order to fulfill for me, and they kept going back and forth to the warehouse, and then they refunded me, and then they brought them out, so I got 4 of them for free.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I got $400 to go spend on books instead of bookshelves.
There you go.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
Tim and Bastion keep saying they're going to build them for me, but
when I get into my permanent house, I'm going to build them into a wall and like expand them to the ceiling and everything. I just don't want to have to take it apart.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
I love it. I love it.
And have like one of those ladders that like.
Oh, I'm buying a ladder. Yeah. So I have an angled ceiling. I don't know if you can see it with the stupid computer angle, but it's angled. I can put a rod all the way down my living room, and I'm going to put a sliding ladder, and then I'm going to get rid of my big couch so that I can actually use my sliding ladder.
That's amazing.
Just Juan and Christy, just so you know, we've known Megan and Lauren for years. And actually, Fleur and I have known each other since like junior high school. So you guys are the newest friends, but we're super happy to have you. Thank you for being a part of this thing. The quote that I brought that we're going to end on today is from chapter 29, and it's a conversation between Vin and Sazed. And it says, she says to Sazed, everything is going to change, Sazed, and I can't stop it. And he says, then mistress, simply enjoy what you have. The future will surprise you, I think. And it's a good way to go out, and it's a good way to live your life. I love you guys. Thanks for being a part of the Shadow Society Book Club. Meeting number 3 is adjourned. Y'all have an awesome day. We'll see you on the next one. Love you. Bye.
bye.
Bye.